How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ingus and I'm from RGS Electronics. Today we're going to be continuing on our last video where we're going to be setting up today our little project that we worked on in the last video. We're going to be setting that up into our portal so our PLC understands that it is a high-speed inputs that are coming in. We'll have a look at how to configure every single channel so we can achieve exactly the same results that we've seen on this screen in a previous video. Also, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you with a very good manual that Siemens has produced specifically for S400 series PLCs of application examples, and as well how to set up your counters into a TI portal. And as I mentioned, the examples, let's say for distance control, frequency, or RPM, all that's going to be in that manual, step-by-step guide how to help you get to that desired result. Definitely check it out. Also in the description below you will see the last video that we made, so make sure if you want to see exactly what we did and how we got all the wiring down, that's going to be in the description below. So without further ado, let's get started. So here we are. So this is our controller that we have been working on in the last video. This is the wiring. Again, there's going to be a link in the description below if you want to check out how we got to this point. So let's get into the controller itself. First thing we're going to do, click on our controller, and the provider or controller has already been set up or everything else that you've been trying to do. From there, as you can see in here, in properties, general, you will have all the options. That's what controller can possibly do. As you can see, I have quite a lot because my controller, what I have in here is a CPU 1217C, which is a quite smart controller, and it comes with a very heavy amount of what I call options into it. So, but we only going to be concentrating today on high-speed counters. If you don't see this high-speed counter from your controller, that just basically means your controller doesn't support any high-speed inputs. So let's get started. So first we're going to set up the first channel. Remember, if from the last video our first channel was A and B count. So we're going to enable it, and once you enable it, so that's done with there, and then we're going to go in here and select what kind of pulses we're going to be working with. And as you remember, it's A, B if you have watched the last video, and we're going to be counting up. From there on, if you go down to addresses, address from the first high-speed counter, always going to be 1000.0 to 1003.7. That's assigned automatically. So from there on, there's more stuff in here, guys. Do check it out yourself. There's also things you can set up, but we're going to stick to basic. So our first channel is set up. Let's go to the second. Let's activate it, as always, in our general. Come on. There we go. And a function, this time we're going to be this channel is going to be reading as Z. So that will be a single phase. So there we go. As you can see, single phase in. And it's going to be a user program internal direction control. We're going to leave that as is. And it's going to be counting up. And also, if you go in here, I forgot to show that in the previous one. There's, you can see when it says hardware input, it shows you in which input is being allocated. As you can see, it only gives me one channel now because that's all I need. For now, because that's how I set it up. So 0.2 is going to be for RZ. That's done. And a third channel, remember we wanted to check out what will happen if you just use one phase from the encoder. So how about we set this channel up for that purpose? So I haven't done that. Let's enable that one. Function. It's going to be pretty much the same as channel 2. So single phase, counting up, happy days. And also down here, you can see in here, the address has been given 1008 because it's the third channel. It's jumping at 1008 to 1011.7. That's it. As you can see, I still have 3 more channels left. So I'm not going to need them. So I haven't done that. That is good. Another thing, what we need to do, we need to give higher speed for our input. If you go in our digital inputs now, and go in a 0 channel in here, as you can see, by default, the standard input filter is at 6.4 milliseconds. If you leave it at that, when your encoder is going to spin, it will not record those counts. It will record some of it, but most of them, I mean 96% of the counts will be missed because it's not able to process that quick. How about we fix that? So every single channel you're using for a counter, you need to adjust it to low amount. In the manual, in the big Siemens manual, I don't have it open in there, I just literally remembered. In a big Siemens manual, there's like a range where Siemens recommends what sort of a input filter you should use for what hertz of a encoder. My encoder is 100 kilohertz, so I remember Siemens somewhere recommended 100 kilohertz to 1 megahertz. You should be between 0.8 to 1 microsecond. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be 0.4. You can go 0.1 if you wish to. I'll go 0.4 right in the middle. Same we need to do for channel 2. So let's do that. And then same needs to do for the channel or channel. It was 0, 1, now it's 2. Because I keep forgetting that the 0 is always our first one, so let's put 4 in here. And as you remember, let's lower it out, we still want as well, so if you double check which inputs we need to change, so that was 0.2, and if you go on a high speed 3, there it is, and we need 0.4. Okay, so let's go in here, inputs, and 1, 2, 3, this one in here. No, this one in here, 0.4. And we're going to change that one as well to being able to accept that at that speed. And that we have set up our inputs. Now that we've done that, let's go into our programming block, and Siemens recommends this to be called in cyclic, so we're going to do exactly that. We're gonna call, we're gonna create blocks to more or less have some form of control over the counter itself. So we're gonna call that, okay, we're gonna leave a cyclic, the OB30, and we're gonna leave it a name like that. And also what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create function blocks, so I can do all in one block. So, and we're gonna call this counter, I don't know, management. Call it like that. I don't. Oh yeah. That will do. From there on, let's go into instructions, and let's collapse the basic, and then go into the technology. As you can see in the technology blocks, we have a couple of options in here on accounting. So definitely check out the manual. This guy. There's a couple of ways to do it. For example, it's how you want to control it. I'm gonna go for this block in here because that's the one that gives me the more option that what I am after. So again, do check it out yourself so we don't lengthen this channel too long. What I'm gonna do, because I'm creating this within the function block, I'm gonna do multiple instances. So I want him to stay within this block, or my data block be within this block. So there we go, we've done that. And also what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open 2 more because we have 3 counters. So let's do in a network and multiple instances, so it stays there. And also 1 more in our network 3. Do that and we're gonna multiple instances as well. So because the reason I'm doing that, because I want all this to be here. As you can see, all my in my static, in my what's this place called? I forgot what is programming block itself in here. All stays within here, so I can have all full control from here rather than having separate data blocks. Okay, so so let's do that. So from there, first things what we need to do, we need to assign each of these instances is which counter is going to be to which. So by clicking on that, click on a list, all these counters should be on this list in here. So my local counter first, done. After that, counter 2, done. So now every time we're going to be working on these specific blocks, you'll know which counter it needs to work with. And that one as well, we are going to say counter 3. Counter 3. Done. So once we've done that, if you click on a block and click F1, It's going to open you more or less an explanation in here what each input in this block means. So as you can see, all the explanations in here and all the details is in here, guys. Do read up for it and things like that. So only thing I'm going to be using from this is, as you can see, my CV. It says enables new count value. Basically, every time I activate input a CV, he will create a basically send in a new CV value, which by default is 0, and that's how we're going to be resetting our 0. Everything else, do guys check it out and read it up if you see fit that you need it. So definitely use it. For me, I'm only going to be using that. So from there on, what I'm going to do, so I only mark because I'm going to be using it on a HMI. I'm going to go in here. I'm gonna say if my counter 1 is activating a CV, all other ones are receiving the same signal. So from that first counter, so that's what we're doing in here. So let's do that. So click on that and as well CV. There we go. So having done that, I think I'm happy with everything else in here. So all that's pretty much is ready to go. As you can see, we didn't do much of it because we're going to be controlling it from HMI. So and having done that, so all we need to do now is go into a cyclic, and we need to call this block in cyclic. Here we go. It's going to create a data block. So for our monitoring, if you wish to, as you can see, all that is going to be sitting in here in a data block now as well. So we can read all the values and everything that we need when we're going to do the monitoring. Now we've done that, let's create some tags. So let's go into PLC tags and let's go in default. I call this counter 1. 1. Counter 2. We're gonna call this counter 3. Okay, so we're gonna change the address to dint. Remember the addresses that we had? Should have done that change at the beginning, but doesn't matter. So didn't. So now we have to do everything manually. So and from there on, what we need to do is remember our addresses from here. So where are we? So we can go in here. Come on, in here. Remember addresses. It's going to be ID. Channel 1. Hardware address. As you can see, 1000 is the first one. So that's all we need to do. So let's go back to our tag table. Usually I would create a separate tag table for things like that, but it will do for now. So we're going to call it a ID 1000. So the value can be stored here. So we can read it. So the next one, remember, it was a 1004. And let's don't forget the D. And the next one, it was ID 1008. And here we go. Now we got our values. So if we load this in now, so let's go in here. Let's concentrate on the CPU and get this in our controller. So that's done. So finish it up. Let's start up the controller. So, and let's go online. Actually, I'll tell you one thing. We're not going to go live from here. We're going to go into our tags. Show tags in here. And we're going to go live from here. And if we've done everything correctly, we should be able to see the values as we move our encoder. As we move our encoder, values should be starting going up. As you can see, everything's working perfectly well. So how about we do everything now on HMI? Alright, there's our HMI. So let's go into the screen so we can read the value. So leave it at that. That looks about good. So let's do a bit of prettying up. So let's say text size, we're gonna leave it as, I don't know, 46. Where's 48? That'll do. Yep. So when it comes down to general, so let's give him a tag. To get a tag is quite simple. Just go into PLC tags, enter tags, tag table, and it's going to be our counter 1. this various value. We don't need S. And for our basic functionality, we don't need that many zeros, I mean. So from there on, let's copy that one and Creole V. So spread them out a little bit, somewhere down here and somewhere down here. So how about we get all this into a perfect line. There we go. So, and also in that. So that's pretty much looks pretty equal. So let's give this a counter 2. Okay. And we're gonna give counter this one a counter 3. Alright, so there we go, we got that. So next, let's name them. So let's grab our text, click it in here, and what we're going to do, we are going to straight in a text format and give him exactly the same as we gave it to our zeros, 48. We're going to do a Creole C and then Creole V. So that's 3 copies. So that one can go here. That one can go here. So, and that one can go here. So we're gonna call this counter A slash B. We're gonna call this as counter Z phase. And we're gonna call this a counter single phase. Okay, that's a little bit bigger than we want. So how about we do, can we do that in one go? I don't really know. So I want to highlight you. Here we go. Can I? Yes, I should be able to change the text format. Let's change it to 36. How about that? That looks good. So and that should be more or less, yeah, that'll do. So the next, literally we're not here to make things pretty. So another one we want to do is put a button on it. So let's put a button on it, and let's make it a little bit bigger. Align it with, I don't know, with this one. We're gonna call it a reset. Basically, let's go counter reset. There we go. So let's click that and let's make it fit. Let's put the capital C and let's give him an address. So we give an address. We're going to take the address straight from the block itself. All right. So we go in here. We go into the. So that's, yeah, that's this. I could make the no. So we go into the events. So we're gonna call it a set bit by pressed. That's happy with that. And let's click that one and let's look for the address. For that, we're gonna go straight into the block itself, and then we're gonna go into a counter management. Okay, in there, and select our first counter. Remember, and that's the boolean in here. That's CV. So remember I told you that's a boolean that we need to activate, so the other one's going to reset at the same time, give the value 0. So there we go. So we have done that. How we done that? So let's pump that into our HMI and compile it. So yes, tell him we'll override everything. Might be a bit longer video, but just to give you just how I got these values on the screen itself. And here we go. So let's go and check out how that looks. There we are. So here is our encoder. Start spinning, and here you go. All the values are spinning, and that's how I got the values on the screen. And as you can see, this guy in here, by clicking on it, it will reset all our values. And that, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, is giving you guys an understanding how to interact with values, how the counter is set up, and how did I got that onto my HMI. And from there on, guys, the world is full of opportunities and possibilities for you guys to explore and play and create some complex applications. That'll do it for this video. Don't forget to like the video if you do like the video, and do subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I will see you. And of course, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.